Good evening, everybody. My name is Derrek Carriveau, and I am an American. Now, you may not be aware of this, but there's actually 3 different ways that we say that. The first way is purely informational, like I did just now. By informing you at the beginning of my set that I'm an American, you know that my comedy is going to be bigger and shinier than domestically produced comedy. But you also know that it's going to be fatter and worse at geography. Now, the second way we say it, it's an excuse. Like if you see us coming out of McDonald's for the 3rd time that week, or when we're refusing the cart during Vigilia, I'm an American. Now, the 3rd way we say it, it almost sounds like we belong in AA, Americans Anonymous. Hi, my name is Derrek, and I'm an American. This is the part where you guys say,
Hi, Derrek.
Now we know who's been to those meetings. My country likes to indiscriminately bomb other countries. I hope they never find oil in Poland. But when you choose to live a life abroad as a foreigner, an expat, a devilishly handsome woman stealer, however that translates, I can't quite remember, you deal with a lot of change. Some of it's good, some of it's bad, and some of it is just change. Like, for example, being able to use change to buy things of value. For example, I could go to the bar, I could order a beer, and I could pay with change. And not only is that okay, it's actually preferred. Whereas in America, if you were to buy a beer with change, there's about a 95% chance you're a homeless person. Now, as an American, one of the more difficult changes I've had to deal with has been learning the metric system. We don't use the metric system in America except for 2 items, cola and drugs. Basically, Coke and Coke. Now, this caused me a great deal of trouble when I had to order meat or cheese from the deli counter. Now, these ladies rarely speak any English, and I think they get paid extra money to never smile. Now, you throw on top of that I don't know what the fuck a decagram is, and I had to use the pointing and grunting method for a very long time. Oh. And you don't want to know what I had to do to ask for condoms. Now, my favorite change in Poland has been public transportation. We don't have a lot in the way of public transportation back in Tampa, where I'm from. There's only 1 bus, and it runs every Tuesday. But obviously here, there's a fleet of trams and buses, and here in Warsaw, you have the subway, and they can get you to anywhere you want to go in the city, as long as you don't mind occasionally sitting next to somebody completely drenched in their own urine. Well, I don't know if it's their urine. I've never actually asked, but whatever. Now, when I first moved to Poland, I was being shown around. It was like, okay, this is your tram stop. This is how you buy a ticket. This is how you validate your ticket. This is how you run away from the control officer because you didn't actually buy or validate your ticket. You know, the basics. And I was told that the trams run till about 11:30. I said, okay, well then what? Well, that's when the night buses start. Night buses? Please tell me more. Well, you see, if you're at the right place at the right time, a bus is going to pull up. If you get on that bus, it will take you right back to this very stop. Even if I'm really drunk? Especially if you're really drunk. It was like I invented the system myself. But now the thing about public transportation, it's public. There's a social contract. There are certain behaviors that you're expected to exhibit when you're on the tram. Fortunately, sobriety is not one of them. Now, some of these rules, it almost sounds like you're an intern for a movie star. Don't make eye contact. Only speak when you've been spoken to. And hey, this dick isn't going to suck itself. Think about it. But the most important rule that we learn is if you're on a full tram and an old lady gets on, you give up your seat. Sometimes they don't even give you a choice, but generally they allow you this moment of dignity. But now, I don't know if you've ever had this one happen to you before. You're on a full tram, old lady gets on, you stand up, and then she doesn't want your seat. And you don't want to sit back down because, fuck you, I'm already standing. And the people closest to you, they don't want to sit down. They saw what happened. It'd be rude for them to take it. So now we all have to stand there like, no. Fuck that seat. I'm going to burn that motherfucker to the ground and I'm going to sow it with salt so nothing ever grows again. But then, you know, we get to looking at each other, which is against the rules, but we're doing it anyway. And we kind of look over at the old lady and say, wait a minute. This is your system. This was a system designed to help you. And now you're going to refuse it like you're an American refusing carpet vigilia? Are you even allowed to do that? But for the most part, the system works. Now the thing is, I actually live in Wrocław. I've lived in Wrocław for the last 9 years almost. And I first moved to the city in August. And on the rare occasion, I was on a tram that was full. It was very easy to just kind of slide out of the way to let the old lady sit down. Well, starting in October, I learned all the students come back and Wrocław becomes a very different city. Now, I used to get on the tram very early in the route, and so I almost always had a seat. And this first week in October, I'm just watching with amusement as just at every stop, more and more students are jamming themselves under this tram like it's the last plane out of Saigon. And I hadn't really been paying attention, and I looked up and I realized that there's this old lady standing directly next to me. And not only is she old, but she looks like she has one of these old lady names like Warsaw or something. Now, the aisles are too packed filled with students for me just to kind of glide out of the way. And I don't know how to say in Polish, would you like my seat? I'm still in the pointing and grunting phase. So I look up at the lady, get her attention, and I start pointing at my seat. Right? I'm smiling, I'm looking down, and I realize, just 1 second too late, I'm not saying, would you like my seat? I'm saying, would you like my cock? So 2 months later, when Warsaw broke up with me, it's a sad story, I don't want to get into it. But now, fortunately, love finally found me, and I married a very beautiful Polish woman. And when we first met, she had a 4-year-old dog. And because the expression is, you can't teach an old dog new tricks, and not, you can't teach an old Derrek new languages, I lost. And I had to learn how to speak Polish for the fucking dog. At one point, I was taking private lessons. I was spending 50 zlotys a week. Essentially, so I could be more grammatically correct for the dog. And I'm going to ask you, do you think she appreciates this? Do you think she appreciates the effort I put in? No. Try some new things out, like Gapa, Hutch, Shot, Ami Wabi. And she just looks at me like, oh, you have the worst accent. And I tell you, being judged by your own dog like that is pretty harsh. You know what else is harsh? Polish toilet paper. All right, maybe not all of it, but you know this gray, lumpy stuff that you guys have? Now, my first residence in Poland, I lived in a dormitory, and as I was moving in, the cleaning lady came by and she brought me 2 rolls of toilet paper, and she looked so proud of herself. And I thought maybe this was some kind of a cultural thing, like, welcome to Poland. Here's some shit paper. The following week, she brought me 2 more rolls. Week after that, 2 more rolls. And I'm thinking to myself, I'm only one man. Now, I don't know what you guys are feeding your college students in this country, but stop it. You're killing them. Nobody could use this much toilet paper, but every week, 2 more rolls, 2 more rolls, 2 more rolls. It got to the point where I'm wrapping Christmas presents with it. I'm stacking the rolls up like into a pyramid, wrap myself up like a mummy, and I walked around the hallways like Boris fucking Karloff. You know what I didn't do with it? Wipe my ass. Now, I don't like to spend money on things that I'm already getting for free, but I tell you, worth every groschen. Now, one way that I've been saving money lately is I quit smoking. I quit smoking almost 6 months ago. Woo! You guys can clap for that, come on. Okay, so this isn't the first time that I quit smoking. I'd actually quit smoking for 2 years before I got married. And I don't know if you're aware of this, but a lot of times when you quit smoking, you end up gaining some weight. Your metabolism slows down. You need something to do with your hands, so you kind of eat more. And basically, your body is just a motherfucker. Instead of saying, hey, thanks for not poisoning me anymore, we're going to be skinnier and our dick's going to be bigger. No, instead I'm puffy, fat, and cranky. Great. So then, I started smoking again during my honeymoon, which, yes, makes me the first person in recorded history to start smoking again because of a lack of stress. And so I kept smoking, and then I ended up losing quite a bit of weight to the point where my wedding band no longer fit on my finger. And I realized this one day. I'm taking a shower, and I heard this loud clang, and I thought, the Russians are coming! And I look down and I see, okay, it's my ring. And so I started wearing my wedding band on my middle finger, which I did not realize at the time in Poland means your spouse has died, that you're a widow or a widower. And it would seem like any time I was on the tram and I was sitting across from an old lady, they would glance down at my finger and they would look up at me with just the saddest look on their face. And I tell you, I had no idea what was going on. I just knew that I hadn't got this much sex since I was in college. And then to find out that these old ladies were only sleeping with me because they felt sorry for me, and not because, they wanted a bit of all this, right? I thought, okay, that was fine when I was in high school, but now it's just unacceptable. It's unacceptable. Now, I turned 40 this year, and for years I've been hearing how 40 is the new 30. And then as the baby boomers got older, it was, no, 50 is the new 30. And then I saw this online the other day, it said, 72 is the new 30. So now I no longer feel bad about fucking your grandmother. So thank you guys, I've been Derrek Carriveau, you guys have been fantastic, thank you very much.